There are few classic Jaguars that carry the air of mystery and outlaw heritage quite like the elusive Cannonball Edition XJ-S. Born out of a rebellious American road race and reinterpreted by the Australians with a healthy dose of cheek and chrome delete, this special edition V12 Grand Tourer remains one of the rarest cats ever released by Jaguar, or more precisely, Jaguar Rover Australia. And recently, one of these mythical machines emerged from the long grass. VI number JNAEY 3AC100684, build number 005 of just 11 Cannonball XJ-S cars ever produced. Once a flagship showroom attraction, it now sits faded, worn, but still unmistakably powerful, waiting for its second wind. To understand the car, you have to understand the legend. In April 1979, a pair of Americans named Dave Hines and Dave Yarborough entered the final running of the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, or as it was more widely known, the Cannonball Run. Their car, a bone-stock Jaguar XJ-S V 12 5.3-litre automatic coupe. It was smooth, quiet, and fast. While it lacked the flash of its Ferrari and Porsche competition, it more than made up for it with long-legged pace and comfort. The duo raced from New York to Los Angeles in a blistering 32 hours and 51 minutes. That's an average speed of 87 miles per hour or 140 kilometers per hour, including fuel stops, toilet breaks, and a brush with the law or two. They crossed 2,863 miles or 4,608 kilometers of tarmac through cities, deserts, and endless rural highways. This was a stunning achievement. The XJ-S beat an entire field of high-performance hardware. A Porsche 930 Turbo, a Ferrari Daytona, a Camaro with a NASCAR pedigree. All of them were bested by a Gentleman's Express from Coventry, driven with calm precision and a steady right foot. In a remarkable twist of fate, the very Jaguar XJ-S that won the 1979 Cannonball Run, the one driven by Hines and Yarborough, resurfaced in the United States in 2023. It came off the production line in November 1977 and was sold new in 1978 in the USA. After years off the radar, it was discovered languishing in very poor condition, as you see, and made its way to auction. Despite its historic significance, the car crossed the auction block for a relatively modest $15,000. The winning bidder? Fred Ashmore, a well-known name in American classic car circles and a man with his own Cannonball credentials. Ashmore once drove a rental Mustang across the US solo in a jaw-dropping 25 hours and 55 minutes during the pandemic-era Cannonball scene. Fred Ashmore runs a classic car restoration and performance shop, and he has big plans for the Jaguar. He's recently confirmed that he is carrying out a sympathetic restoration, preserving its period-correct livery, equipment and interior, and eventually wants to race it in vintage endurance events. His goal is to honor the car's unique legacy, not just as the final Cannonball winner, but as a symbol of what Jaguar could achieve in an era when reliability wasn't always part of the brand's story. At the time David Hines owned and operated a Floridian-based Jaguar dealership, the car was pulled by Hines and his team, and a marine fuel cell was placed in the trunk, along with CB radios, escort radar detectors in the front and the rear. Accompanying paperwork with the car shows Walt Thurn as a longtime friend of Hines being at the event. He mentions that Hines had everything installed in the car, but to be easily removed, so the car could be sold as a new demonstrator, even after the car was driven back from LA to Florida, covering a mere 9,000 miles. Under the bonnet, the original 5.3-litre V12 still resides, untouched but tired. The interior shows signs of long-distance battle fatigue, but key elements like the auxiliary fuel cells and CB radio rig are still in place. This rediscovery has added fresh interest to the entire Cannonball Jaguar narrative. Not only has Australia's Tribute Edition gained relevance, but the very car that inspired it is now being brought back to life, 4 decades later on both sides of the world. Jaguar Rover Australia was watching, and instead of issuing a press release or commissioning a dealer flyer, they went one better. They built a tribute, a full-blown, locally developed, limited edition celebration of this unlikely Cannonball triumph. It would become the Cannonball Edition XJ-S, and it was as rare as it was unorthodox. Built between late 1979 and 1980, these cars weren't sanctioned by Jaguar in the UK. Instead, they were a local marketing exercise by a distributor that saw an opportunity to inject adrenaline into the XJ-S's image. 10 cars were sold to customers. 1 prototype was created as a promotional vehicle. Each car received a numbered dash plaque, special cosmetic upgrades, and, in true Aussie fashion, a whole lot of attitude. What made a Cannonball XJ-S? The core of the Australian Cannonball Edition was the standard Jaguar XJ-S Coupe fitted with the legendary 5.3-litre V12 engine and automatic transmission. These were pre-HE cars, delivering about 285 horsepower in European-Australian trim. Mechanically, they were left largely untouched, as the V12 already provided ample grunt for any hypothetical cross-country sprint. But on the outside, Jaguar Rover Australia added flair. In an era of chrome, these cars featured satin black or body colour exterior window surrounds, grille frames, and trim pieces. It gave the car a more modern look. Most Cannonball cars were fitted with Simmons modular mesh wheels, an iconic Australian performance accessory. These wheels added a muscular presence and improved grip. While some cars retained single-colour paint, others wore two-tone schemes, including signal yellow with black lower accents as shown on 009. 005, the subject of these photos, was finished in signal red over a black interior, a dramatic and sporty combination. A few examples were delivered with cloth seat inserts rather than full leather, aimed at long-distance comfort and less slippage under hard cornering. The most definitive feature was the numbered Cannonball Edition dash plaque placed on the glove box. It read, Limited Edition XJ-S Cannonball, followed by the car's individual number. It should be noted that there is no connection between the 1979 USA Cannonball Run and the ill-fated Cannonball Run that took place in the Northern Territory of Australia in 1994. The cars and their rarity. Some 11 Cannonball Edition XJ-S cars produced, 10 were retailed to customers, and 1 was retained as a prototype by Jaguar Rover Australia. That prototype later served as a support vehicle for Jaguar's racing efforts and was seen in Unipart livery alongside John McCormack's XJ-S touring car. Each production car was right-hand drive and built to Australian delivery spec. They were fully optioned, with air conditioning, power windows, and all the usual trimmings. The Cannonball treatment was purely cosmetic and commemorative, but the rarity and backstory give these cars a near-mythical status today. In 1979 Australia, a standard Jaguar XJ-S V12 coupe retailed for approximately $42,000 to $45,000 Australian dollars, depending on options and dealer markup. To put that in context, it was roughly double the cost of a new Ford Falcon GXL V8 or Holden Statesman, and around half the price of ultra-luxury imports like Rolls-Royces or high-end Mercedes coupes. The Cannonball Edition, at a staggering $80,000 Australian dollars, was nearly twice the price of a standard XJ-S, making it one of the most expensive showroom Jaguars ever offered in Australia at the time. Rather a bold move for a car celebrating an illegal American street race. These were not just special editions, they were halo models for Jaguar in Australia. However, from the perspective of history, a buyer had to be pretty gullible to spend so much for what amounted to a standard car, with cosmetic embellishments. Full marks to the marketing team to generate interest in what was a very slow year for XJ-S sale. Which brings us back to VIN JNAEY3AC100684, build number 005. Recently, this car surfaced on a Jaguar enthusiast forum and social media groups. The listing was brief and unassuming. Selling my Cannonball XJ-S. Engine runs, new wiring loom, some rust in the rear parcel shelf and floor. With an asking price of just 6,750 Australian dollars, it was clear that number 005 had seen better days. The paint was faded, and there were substantial rust issues to be dealt with. The interior needed work, and it was partially stripped with missing headlamps. But the DNA was intact. This was no ordinary XJ-S project. It was a genuine numbered Cannonball Edition, hiding in plain sight. While the condition may scare off casual buyers, to a Jaguar enthusiast or collector, this is gold. These cars almost never come up for sale, and many have disappeared entirely. One known example, build number 009, sold in excellent condition for around 14,000 Australian dollars several years ago, and was featured in Australian Muscle Car magazine. Another was exported to the UK for a full restoration by KWE, a high-end Jaguar specialist. That means the reappearance of number 005 is significant. It's a tangible link to a story that blends outlaw Americana with Aussie ingenuity, and the kind of collector's item that gets rarer with every passing year. A tribute like no other. The Cannonball Edition XJ-S is notable not just because it's rare, but because of what it represents. In an era before marketing departments were tamed by liability lawyers, Jaguar Australia took a car that won a completely illegal race and said, "Let's build a tribute to that." They didn't shy away from the controversy. They leaned into it. They took a luxury Grand Tourer and gave it black trim and hot wheels. They made it bold and fast-looking. They sold it as a celebration of rebellion, endurance, and style. And they did it all while remaining just subtle enough to pass under the radar of corporate in Coventry. There are few, if any, examples of other car companies making limited editions to honor a street race across America. It would be like Holden releasing a Gumball Edition Monaro. It's unthinkable today. But in 1980, with the XJ-S struggling to find its place between E-Type nostalgia and the upcoming XJ40 era, the Cannonball Edition gave it a jolt of life down under. Conclusion. Will it ride again? Number 005 is still out there. Maybe by now it's been bought. Maybe it's mid-restoration. Maybe it's waiting quietly under a carport somewhere, the dash plaque still gleaming. But what's certain is this. The Cannonball XJ-S was one of the most daring, unexpected, and flat-out cool tributes ever devised by a Jaguar distributor. It honored a victory that wasn't supposed to happen, in a race that wasn't supposed to exist, and did so with a level of swagger that's rarely seen in factory-backed specials. So next time someone mentions the rarest Aussie muscle cars, or the most offbeat Jaguar special editions, don't forget the Cannonball, and raise a toast to number 005. The original Cannonball race winner beat Ferraris once, and was saved from the wreckers. With any luck, 005 will beat the scrapyard too. This has been a production by Curious Jag. Please like and subscribe.